Coming up, a special Q&A episode answering your Disney World questions. Disney presents
Beyond the Kingdoms. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's very special episode of Beyond the Kingdoms. Like always, I'm your host David, and today I'm going to be answering your questions that you submitted for today's Q&A episode. Thank you very much for everyone who submitted these, because you guys really do come up with some good questions that not even I think about, so thank you. But before I jump in, I just want to share with you that I'm conducting a new survey. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you know that I like to do these just so I can know what you guys want to watch more of on the channel. So if you could spare about 10 minutes of your time and fill out this viewer survey, I would really appreciate it. I'll leave a direct link to it in the description down below, and I'll also share a link across all my social media platforms. But let's not waste any more time and jump right in to your questions. All right, so I want to start off with some more of the personal questions, just because it's a good way to warm up into the more complex questions, and believe me, there's a few of those today. So our first question comes in from Tom. Tom says, okay, hi David, thank you for all of your exploring Epcot videos. I really love the tours of each country. I wanted to know, what is your favorite country in World Showcase? Mine is Germany. Tom, that's a good one. Picking a country is like picking a child. It's really hard. I love a lot of them, but I can dwindle it down to two. First, Japan. Japan is by far one of my favorites, mainly because it reminds me of a vacation I took with my husband about 6 years ago. We went to Japan, we went to Tokyo and Kyoto, and to this day, that was probably the best vacation I have ever been on in my life, just because it felt like a real adventure. It was a huge culture shock and just unlike anything I've ever experienced before. So when I go to the pavilion in Epcot, I'm reminded instantly of that vacation. And I also think it's one of the countries that feels the most accurate, because some of them feel like a Disney version. You know, France feels like a Disney version of France, but Japan really is that spotlessly clean, so it looks pretty authentic. And that department store is certainly what you would find in Japan. And it's run by a real Japanese department store, so that's probably why. So Japan is one of them. And the second one would have to be Morocco. I just think maybe because it's a little bit newer than the rest of the countries, the design details I think are a little bit better. I love going into that marketplace because you can really get lost in there. You know, you can be weaving in and out. And I think you sometimes forget you're at Disney in there. It's that beautifully detailed in there. And I think the dining in Morocco is really underrated. I've said this before, but I didn't say this in my last Q&A, I don't think. But Spice Road Table is one of my favorite restaurants at Epcot because it's easy to get a table. You can even do walk-up sometimes. The food is amazing. It's not strictly Moroccan. It's a mixture of Mediterranean dishes. You've got a little bit of Greek, a little bit of Moroccan, a little bit of Spanish. And that's what I like about it. It kind of fuses three in one. And the view, you get a great view of the fireworks at night. So if you time that right, it's the perfect ending to an Epcot day. So 2 countries, Morocco and Japan, definitely. All right, the next question is kind of related, so I wanted to pair it with this one. And this one comes in from Jill. Jill's a longtime viewer of the channel. So Jill says, I was wondering if you could add any country to Epcot World Showcase, which would it be? Hope you're having a good summer. Have a lovely day. Thank you, Jill. That was very sweet of you. I've thought about this, you know, subconsciously for years, like what would I add? And immediately I think of India. This came to me about 2 years ago. I think it was Food and Wine 2017 when they brought back an India booth. I think it had been a long time since they had an India booth. And the food was fantastic. And I immediately thought, man, how great would it be to have India in World Showcase? Because the dining would probably be spectacular. And it'd be cool to have some sort of attraction or a Circle Vision movie, because India has such great scenery and such such a variety of different places. I think India would be really cool. But also, as a kid, I remember seeing concept art for a country that was never built. I don't remember if it was Brazil or Colombia, but it definitely was a country representing South America. And first of all, I think it would bring balance to the whole World Showcase, because there's a lot of countries in Europe. So having something from the Southern Hemisphere, I think would be nice. And I just remember the concept being that there'd be an attraction instead of a boat ride. It was some sort of skyway attraction into the rainforest. And I thought, man, that'd be really cool. It'd be similar to Mexico, I think, where the interior space would be meant to look like you're outside. And again, the food would probably be fantastic. So I know Brazil's a big rumored country to be added. I think if they do it in that fashion, it would be fantastic. And I could see them easily adding in the Three Caballeros into there. You know, Jose, that character, he's Brazilian, so you could sell merchandise and it would work quite well. So yeah, India or Brazil, those would be my two. Okay, next question. Hi David, thank you for your recent Exploring Blizzard Beach video. It was very helpful. Will you be doing Typhoon Lagoon? And my question is, what's your favorite water park of the two? Thanks, Alice. Thank you, Alice, for that one. I'm glad you enjoyed the Blizzard Beach. There will be a Typhoon Lagoon video. I should be putting it up in July, I think. So that will complete the water park coverage on the channel. Which one's my favorite? This is tricky. I think I am very different from the norm. I know a lot of people love Typhoon Lagoon more. I can understand that because I think the vibe at Typhoon Lagoon is more relaxing. It's tropical, and if you're not from Florida, you know, it's a nice escape from probably where you come from. I personally like Blizzard Beach more. I think maybe because I'm from Florida, the tropical thing is kind of redundant to me, and the winter slopes is like, oh, this is kind of unique, but the slides at Blizzard Beach I think are better. They're way more thrilling than the ones at Typhoon Lagoon. I know Typhoon Lagoon's added stuff, but I still think like Summit Plummet, Slush Gusher, they're fantastic. And I love that Blizzard Beach has the chairlift. You know, you could be stuck waiting a while for that, but you know, when I go, I just go on the single rider line, go up the mountain, go down the slide. It's a lot less stairs. Typhoon Lagoon is a maze of stairways, and sometimes the stairs at Typhoon Lagoon, they go down to go back up again because it's all supposed to be theming and all that, and I think this is ridiculous. It's too much walking and too much stairs. So I think Blizzard Beach is my favorite, but I would say Blizzard Beach has the substance and Typhoon Lagoon has the style for sure. All right, this next one comes in from Laura, and it's another favorite question. She says, what's your favorite moderate resort? I know everyone always talks about the deluxe resorts like Contemporary and Polynesian, but I love the moderates because of the lower price point. That's a good question, Laura, because I think the moderates definitely get overlooked and they kind of get forgotten in the shuffle. I don't know if I can give you a solid, accurate answer on this yet. Only because I haven't stayed at all of the moderates, believe it or not. I've done Port Orleans, both Riverside and French Quarter, and I've done Caribbean Beach. I've never stayed at Coronado, but I will be staying there in July when they open the new Gran Destino Tower. So after that, I think I can give you a real answer. But I also want to mention that I didn't stay at Port Orleans. I was there like 10 years ago, maybe more. And Caribbean Beach I did more recently, about 3 years ago, but it was before all the construction started and it was before all the new dining. So it's hard for me to give you an accurate answer. I have a sneaking suspicion Coronado Springs might be my favorite purely because of the theming. But aside from that, from the ones I've experienced, I really like Port Orleans Riverside. I prefer French Quarter because it's smaller, it's more compact. You know, it's not so huge like all the other moderates. But I just really like the vibe of Riverside. I love the big, house, the hotel buildings are supposed to look like big plantation houses, and it's really, really, really beautiful and relaxing. So right now I'm gonna tentatively say Port Orleans Riverside, but I think Coronado's gonna take the cake on that one. Okay, and this last one comes in from Angelo in the UK, and this one's a toughie. He says, what is your absolute number one favorite restaurant in all of Walt Disney World? That is, again, that's like picking your favorite kid. There's a lot. There's no way I can do one. Like I already said, Spice Road table is my favorite at Epcot. I also really like Tokyo Dining. That's another good one that I like at Epcot. Other things that come to mind right off the bat, I would say, are Tusker House at Animal Kingdom. I did that quite recently, and I think so far that's the best character meal for dinner in particular. If you're like me and you like, exotic food, something, a change up from the norm, I left there going, this is a solid character meal. That was one of my favorites. So Spice Road, Tusker House, and I'd have to say, I always want to say Skipper Canteen at Magic Kingdom, but they keep messing with the menu and it's getting a little bit more watered down as time goes on. I love the theming in there, but the menu's like a hit and miss. Like, I can't ever find a really good solid entree I like. There's great appetizers. But I mean, okay, this is an obvious one. Another favorite would be Our Guest, specifically for lunch. I think the fact that it's a quick service meal at lunch is fantastic because the price is great. I personally love to book a table there for lunch because you can do that. You can do the walk up and order at the little stations, but I like to do a reserved table for lunch, pre-order everything. I know exactly what I'm going to order every time I go, and enjoy it. I think that's a fantastic meal to have at Magic Kingdom, probably one of the best. So yeah, those are three. I think it depends what month you ask me that question, the answer you'll get. But that's my answer for today. All right, so that's all of the questions you submitted that are more personal questions asking me about my favorite things around the resort. So let's now transition into the more specific questions that you guys asked and specific advice that you guys wanted to know. There's a lot of questions that pertain to the Halloween and Christmas party. So let's take a look at those first.
All right, so I'm not going to share the name of the person who submitted this one, and you'll understand why I did that in a moment. But the question is, my family and I are visiting Disney World for the first time this November. As a surprise to my kids, we are going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party the day we arrive. I know we can get into the Magic Kingdom at 4, but can we ride the rides and select fast passes from 4 to 7 on that day? Okay, I used to be hesitant to answer this question before, but now I feel more confident in it. And the answer is yes, you can book fast passes from that 4 to 7 p.m. time slot. I have seen and heard people kind of give conflicting responses to this, and I think I understand why. The key thing to do is book the fast passes for the day of the party last. By default, when you book fast passes, if you're booking one for Magic Kingdom, let's say, it will use your daytime ticket. And if for some reason you've already booked fast passes, let's say at Epcot for the day, and you're trying to book fast passes on the same day, it's going to go, hey, no, you can't do that because you've already done it for Epcot for your day. So book all of your fast passes for all the other days. That way, when you book fast passes with your party ticket, the system will then know to use your party ticket, and then you're going to be limited to only that 4 to 7 time slot. All right, the next one comes from Britt, and it's about the new Villains After Hours event, but I think this question could work well for people also going to Not So Scary and Very Merry Christmas Party. So she asks, we will be at Villains After Hours for June 27th. What would be your advice for where to start in the park for the event? Was thinking to start in Adventureland. This is a great question. I did the same thing. I started in Adventureland and worked my way clockwise. I did this because that 7 to 10 p.m. time slot, Adventureland gets pretty quiet. There's not a lot of people kind of rushing there for the end of the day. And so it's really easy to get on things like carpets, tiki room, or Country Bears, it's kind of nearby. Even Pirates gets pretty low towards the end of the day. In the middle of the day, Pirates gets really busy, but after 4 and 5 p.m., I find that the wait time goes down. Maybe you can squeeze in Jungle Cruise towards the end. That ride usually gets a really long wait time. But also you can kind of skip on over to Splash later in the night because a lot of people tend to not want to get wet. So that line goes down. Don't make the mistake like I did of going on Thunder before the event actually starts. I was in a 30-minute line and I really regretted doing that. So when the event started right at 10 o'clock, that's when I chose to start in Haunted Mansion and work my way clockwise, going through, It's a Small World and all that. This kind of worked. The problem is when you get to Peter Pan and Seven Dwarfs, you may see a moderate wait time in that first hour of the event. I certainly found this. So after doing Haunted Mansion Small World, I cut across to Tomorrowland, did everything in there, and then worked my way through Fantasyland at the end. So I generally think do Adventureland first, work clockwise, with the anticipation that you're going to have to go back to Seven Dwarfs towards the end of the night. So yeah, that worked out for me, but I think there's a few ways you can handle this. Next, this is similar to the previous two. This comes in from Gladys. She says, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party with 2 teens. What ride should we enjoy the most since we like the thrill rides, and what order may be the best with only 4 hours in the park? It's been 14 years since we visited the Magic Kingdom. Okay, first of all, I want to clarify the party officially is from 7 to midnight, so you get 5 hours there. And like I've just said, you can indeed enter in as early as 4. Disney can push that back if the park is too crowded. But in all the years I've been doing this, I always get there at 4, get in at 4 without a problem. So definitely my advice is get in at 4 so you get even more hours to do all those thrill rides. And in that 4 to 7, don't do things like Space and Thunder and all that because they'll have big lines unless you get a fast pass for it in that 4 to 7. That could work well to free up time during the party. And chances are, like I've said with all these other ones, Seven Dwarfs is something you're going to have to leave for last. That is tricky because I tend to like to watch the last show of the night. But since you have teens and you said you want to focus on thrill rides, you know, maybe go to the second parade because I think the parade is well worth watching. And during that first parade time, get on some of the thrill rides if you didn't get to do it earlier, like Thunder, Splash, and Space. Leave Seven Dwarfs for towards the end of the night. If you're gonna skip the stage show altogether or watch an earlier stage show, go to Seven Dwarfs last. That's my best advice I can give you. All right, moving away from the parties and events, but sticking to Magic Kingdom, this next question comes in from Andrea. She asked, you mentioned in a previous video that the trains will be at the station until later this summer. Will they be returning in the fall? It's one of my favorite rides. The short answer to this question is no, it will not be open in the fall. I think the video you're referring to is maybe either a news update video or my Exploring Main Street video, where I said how at that time Disney had said that the railroad would open later this summer. But Disney has updated their website. It doesn't seem to be opening anytime this year. Even all the way up until December, they have no operation hours listed for the attraction. So right now, it's pretty safe to assume it's closed till the end of 2019. It might not open till 2020, but keep your eye out on news updates and I'll always keep you posted on that. Okay, the next one comes in from Callan, and it's about tickets. Callan asks, we are going in July to Disney and have a 5-day with Park Hopper Salute tickets. I'm assuming this is a typo, and Callan meant a 5-day Park Hopper Plus ticket. Are we able to visit the water park the day of checkout? That way we don't have to use a park day for a water park. This is a fantastic question. Let me give everyone a quick rundown of what Park Hopper Plus means, just in case you don't know what it is. Okay, so when you're first looking at tickets, obviously you have your base first. So let's say, for example, you purchase a 5-day ticket. That means that you get to enter the theme parks on 5 different calendar days and you visit 1 theme park per day. If you add Park Hopper to a 5-day ticket, you still get to enter the theme parks on 5 calendar days, but you can visit more than 1 theme park on a single day. So you can go to Magic Kingdom for the beginning half of one day and hop on over to Epcot for the ending half of the day. So you can hop around as much as you like. Park Hopper Plus lets you do the same exact thing and then also gives you extra entrance entitlements to places like the water parks, ESPN Wide World of Sports, the mini golf, and one of the main golf courses as well. The number of entrance entitlements you get to these other destinations is determined by the base ticket. So again, if you're getting a 5-day Park Hopper Plus ticket, you'll get 5 entry days to the theme parks, and then you're entitled to 5 entrances into these extra places. So one of those 5 extras could be visiting Blizzard Beach. The second one could be going to Typhoon Lagoon. The third could be going to a mini golf, and so on. Where I think people get confused is that they think that they have to use those 5 extra entrance entitlements to places like the water parks within only a 5-day window, thinking, okay, I can only do it if I go to Magic Kingdom and then go over to a water park for a while. And that is not the case. When you get a Park Hopper Plus ticket, you actually get a wider window of days to go in and do all those parks. In your case, Callan, a 5-day Park Hopper Plus ticket, I believe, gives you a 9-day window to do everything you want. Obviously, since this is a 5-day ticket, this doesn't mean you get to enter in the theme parks on 9 days, but you have a 9-day window to enter the theme parks on 5 different calendar days, and then you have the ability to enter in those extra destinations 5 times at any point in that 9-day window. So in your specific case, yes, you can go to the water park on the day you check out, as long as that checkout date is within 9 days of when you first used the ticket into one of the theme parks. I hope that makes sense. The next one comes from Heidi, and this one was really good and actually really hard to find the answer to. I had to do some extra digging. Okay, Heidi says, I continue to enjoy your show. My question is about the bounce back deal you're supposed to be able to get on the next trip before checking out of the resort on your current trip. What exactly is the process to get that discount? Heidi, this is really good, and I'm glad you mentioned this because the last time I went to Disney and stayed on property, I didn't see this bounce back deal. Or I could have missed it, but I didn't see it. So if for some reason you don't get some sort of pamphlet in your room, maybe ask the front desk well before you check out. The big stipulation with these bounce back deals is that you usually have to book them by 10 p.m. on the day you check out. If you do it afterwards, you will not get it. The rest of the fine print on this could really vary from time to time. So, depending on when you're actually visiting, there could be a different bounce back offer than what's offered at the moment. Currently, the bounce back offer is open for any stays between now and through December 24th, 2019, and you have to book it by August 14th, 2019. So right there, you have to be planning to go back to Disney within usually like 6 months or something. So it's usually pretty tight when you have to do this. Currently, select deluxe hotels have 30% off, select moderates have 25%, and select values have 20%. This completely depends on what's available. There are so many factors that could make things available or not available. But the best thing to do is, the day you arrive or maybe, on your way to Disney, go on Disney's website, look at what the current offers are so you kind of know it, have it in the back of your hand. And so that when you see that bounce back offer, you can compare and contrast the two, because it might be that there might be just a regular promotion going on with no blockout dates and the same savings. So don't just think the bounce back is always the best deal. It might not.
Okay, I want to round out today's Q&A episode with a really good question that came in from a very loyal viewer of Beyond the Kingdoms, Liz. Both times I've done a Q&A video, I've gotten one question that's really tricky and left me just completely stumped. On this occasion, Liz and I got the answer together, and I thought it was a really interesting story, so I asked Liz if I could share it with you guys today, and she said yes. So here we go. Okay, Liz's original question was this. Okay, thank you for all your fantastic videos. I wanted to ask your expertise on something. Kona Cafe is a 1 table service credit. She's referring to the dining plan, obviously, here. There is a $95 porterhouse steak on the menu. Can I actually get that steak for just 1 table service credit? I can't get an answer from Disney. Maybe you have some insight. Okay, when she first asked me this question, I was stumped. I had never really seen something at that price point at a regular table service restaurant. You'll see that at a Signature, but this was quite a rare case. And the last time I went to Kona, I don't think I saw this on the menu. Initially, I thought to myself, there's a possibility, one of my sources told me that porterhouse steak is meant for 2 people. And I assumed that if, 2 people were dining there and they were both on the dining plan, that you could order that and that would count as your entree for both people. So you would get the porterhouse and then you'd each get your dessert and you'd each get your beverage. That was something I thought could happen. After further research, we discovered that that is not true. I can't think of another restaurant that does this. And if you ever come across this, I think the best thing to do would be try to contact the restaurant directly. I have seen something like this at Coral Reef Restaurant. I dined there recently, and if you look at their menu online, there's a section that says enhancements, and these are things you can add to your entree. And it very clearly states there that those are not included in the dining plan, that you would have to pay extra for that. So again, this $95 porterhouse steak, bizarre. So eventually, Liz did get to talk to the restaurant directly, because sometimes the people on the reservations line, they might not know the answer to something so specific like that. And to make a long story short, the answer Liz got was no, you cannot get that on the dining plan. If you order that, you have to pay for it. So that's the answer to that. I think I was really shocked by that. I was surprised that Disney didn't say, if you order it, you have to pay extra, or like I said, it counts as an entree for 2 people. Liz, if you're watching this and you dine at Kona, please ask again. And I'm curious to see what answer you get, because I find that most restaurants are really kind of accommodating and flexible with making substitutions on the dining plan. I mean, they'll stick to a strict kind of framework that they have to stick to. Like, you can always sometimes ask, okay, instead of dessert, can I get an appetizer? And, they'll be willing to work with you within reason. I understand a $95 steak is not within reason. But yeah, ask again, or if any of you have been recently, or you did this recently, leave a comment below. I'm really surprised that there wasn't a way around this, and that Disney just said, no, you just have to pay $95. But that was that story, and I thought you guys would find that really, really, really interesting. So thank you, Liz, for that one. So guys, that brings us to the end of today's very special Q&A episode. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions. You guys really asked me some good ones this time, and they always kind of give me a good jumping off point to think up of ideas for future videos. So thank you very much. Like I said at the top of the show, if you could spare 10 minutes to fill out my viewer survey, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. None of the information will be shared with anyone else, and I'm not going to be asking you any sort of intense personal questions. So I would greatly appreciate it, and like I said, there'll be a link to that in the description down below. Stay tuned next week for a special news update video. I do this every 2 months just to give you guys a full rundown of what's new at Walt Disney World and what's happening around the resort. So if you want to stay up to date, make sure you tune in. But sadly, guys, that is all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.